We've been involved in this work for about 3 years, and again, it was really something that we, in some ways, were just seeking out a way of how can we help a biblical worldview be more established for people, and also just providing a safe place to talk about real stuff. And I'm a pediatrician, and I see people every day that have, as young people, have even, non-healthy sexual experiences. And then when I think forward to, well, what is that going to bring to their marriage someday? I mean, it's kind of staggering to think about. So it's very refreshing to me to think that we've provided a place where people can come and just be honest and kind of work through some of those things and have a better chance of having a real positive relationship for their marriage.
One of the most important sources of information that most of us have gotten from our youth up is, everybody pretty much, I can remember when my family got our first TV set, but I was still a kid, so we grew up with TV, grew up with radio, grew up with movies, grew up with popular songs, and all of that and more books would come under the heading of popular culture. And what I've decided over the years is that the main message from popular culture is that they would have us believe that sexual intercourse is what it's all about. That is the axis upon which the world turns. Nothing else comes even close to sexual intercourse as being prominent and preeminent. It's the most important thing in the world. Now, if you don't know that, then I suggest you haven't been paying very close attention, because those are the messages that are funneled to us, that are shouted at us from our popular media, from our social media, and specifically about that sex is about just a few very specific things. Number one, sex is about anatomy. Good sex is all about anatomy. And so, until just a couple of years ago, I never thought that I would say this in a Sunday school class, but I did, and I will this morning, that what's the most important thing about sex is huge boobs and long-lasting erections. Now, if you don't know that, you haven't been paying attention. That's the most important thing about sex. Not only anatomy, but mechanics. You've got to know the right positions that will somehow result in mystical sexual ecstasy previously unknown. And again, these are messages of popular culture. These are not messages to which I subscribe, as you'll know, as we move along. But one of the messages of popular culture, I think, that kind of undergirds everything else that we're talking about is freedom. That freedom. This is how sexuality is how you can really show who you really are. And you know what? You don't have to have anybody's permission. You don't have to have anybody's okay to do that. Nobody, in fact, nobody should or can tell you what to do. It's your body, by George, and you can use it the way that you want to use it. And there's almost this admonition, this responsibility that is preached to us from the popular culture voices. The veiled, or maybe not so thinly veiled, implication of that is nobody gets hurt. There are no consequences. There's nothing to worry about. When I was growing up, I guess I was a teenager. I was a teenager in the 60s, and so the prevailing thought then was, if it feels good, do it. That's been supplanted. Maybe I'm not up to date, but a few years ago, the newer version of that is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? And what an appealing lie that is. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, meaning you can do anything that you wouldn't do at home, and there's not going to be any fallout, no ramifications, no emotional connections, no expectations, no harm done, no harm, no foul. But my addendum to that deal is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, comma, except when it doesn't. Except when it doesn't. And it doesn't.